Always wonderful to see the young children of the area involved in the pre-match festivities. 3 changes to the Phoenix 11 that started last Saturday night's defeat away at Melbourne City. In comes Sam Sutton, Isaac Hughes and Nick Pennington in place of Lucas Kelly-Heald, Houston Salas and David Ball, who all dropped to the bench. 4 of this 11, Sutton, Tim Payne, Ben Old and Alex Paulson, were born here in Auckland. For Sydney FC, 3 changes from the side that started last Sunday's 1-1 draw with Brisbane. Jake Girdwood-Reich is suspended after his red card in that game. He's replaced by Gabriel Lacerda at centre-back. Max Burgess and Fabio Gomez also dropped to the bench. In come captain Luke Bratton. And up top, Jaden Kucharski. Andrew Redmayne is seeking a 50th clean sheet for the Sky Blues. Jack Rodwell returns to Sydney FC's matchday squad for the first time in 2 months. Oscar Van Hattem is back on the bench for Wellington, another who was born in the city of Sales. Our referee is the best in the A-League men's, Iranian Alireza Fagani, assisted by David Walsh and Ryan Gallagher. Tim Danaskos is the 4th official. Kate Jackowitz in the VAR booth, helping with the coin toss, 11-year-old Ali today. Costa Barbarouses played 66 games across 3 seasons with Sydney FC, scoring 18 goals, winning an A-League championship. This week he earned an all-whites recall, having not played for the national side in nearly a year. Ryan Grant is in his 16th season at Sydney FC, plays game 282 today. He's easily the Sky Blues' leading appearance maker. He has 4 goals against Wellington, more than he has scored against any other opponent. Wellington boss Giancarlo Italiano saw his team defeated for just the 3rd time last weekend and has had to prepare them this week to face the last team to get the better of them. The man they call Chief will have been meticulous in readying his troops to repel the competition's joint best attacking side. One of his closest friends in football is Ufuk Talay. He returns to New Zealand for the first time as Sydney FC coach. He guided Wellington in the last 4 seasons, overseeing 3 finals appearances. Off we go at Eden Park. And for the last time, Wellington bring a home match to Auckland. For the 12th time, it's to Eden Park, where the Phoenix have never lost in the A-League men's. 5 draws and 6 wins here. The last of those wins over today's visitors, Sydney FC, last season with Oscar Zavada heading home the game's only goal. Wellington have lost just 3 games all season. One of those was to Sydney FC. The Sky Blues unbeaten in their last 8 and knocking on the door of the top 4. Formation and tactics, talking points in the pre-game. Jacob Spoonley will get you to keep an eye on what you see in terms of Sydney's press and Wellington's ability to repel it.
Let's also acknowledge the role of the man in red, Alireza Fagani, who of course was the referee last time these sides met in round 10 in Sydney. And depending on which side of the Tasman you're on, you either say he let too much go or he allowed a free-flowing, full-blooded competition. Great to have such an experienced referee in charge of this one, though, Piney.
I'm not sure if Wellington believe in omens, but Alireza Fagani has refereed the Phoenix 10 times. They haven't won any of them. 3 draws and 7 defeats under his control, so they'll need to break that historical duck today. Courtney Perkins into the action early for Sydney. This is Robert Mack, the Croatian. Exchanges passes with Caceres. Now Kucharski's first touch. Here's Robert Mack. Broken up on the edge of the penalty area by Alex Rufer, who's going to be an extremely important participant today, you fancy. Here's Bratton, game 99 for Sydney FC today for their skipper.
And already we're seeing free rolls for Kucharski and Caceres. They've been allowed to bounce in between the defensive line and the deep line midfielders. It really is Mack and Lolly who are leading the line, but from out wide.
Here is Kucharski. Now Lacerda in for the suspended Goodwood Reich today. Mack looking for Lolly on the far side. Sam Sutton in the way in his hometown. In a short first touch, but Sydney pick up the scraps.
One of 4 Phoenix players that hail from Auckland.
Here's Kucharski on the turn. And Scott Wharton with the first piece of defending to do, and he passes the test. Jaden Kucharski preferred today. Are you expecting him to do a bunch of shuttles between the back three of Wellington when they have possession and are trying to play out from the back?
Well, of course, they are dangerous in possession, the Sydney front four, but they are also incredibly dynamic when it comes to implementing the press that not only Italiano is in charge of, but has largely come because of David Zrilic.
Here's Courtney Perkins. Room to measure across if he wants to. Decides against Mack and Bratton. And coming back to pick a pocket was Costa Barbarouses. Sydney's passing in and around the Wellington penalty area is slick in the first 3.5 minutes. Wellington have hardly been in the opposition half, and they're not going to get there this time either. Good defending by Hayden Matthews there. Gee, he's been impressive since his inclusion in the starting 11 for Sydney FC.
What's noticeable is you often hear that Italiano favours control. It really is a principle that he builds the team around both defensively and in possession. And what we're seeing here today is a reversion to a back five. And at the moment, what it looks like the Phoenix are trying to do is build into the game, ensure that they don't concede early and give the advantage to a very dangerous informed Sydney side.
Well, you talked about Fagani letting things go. He is here. Ben Oldo can't retain the ball.
I don't even think I've seen him raise the whistle to his lips yet.
You don't mind it. You don't mind it at all. Let the game flow is one of the old, well, one of the great phrases of the game. And if Elariza Fagani is a subscriber of that, then all the better. Given away by Paulson into Kucharski, who can't control. Actually, don't know whether he expected it to come to him. Kucharski. Wellington having a real hard time clearing it. Barbarouses has to come back again and win possession. Here's Kryev. Can Wellington get some sort of passing movement going here? They can't, because Holman stepped in and he's taken in a challenge by Rufa, which was fine, says Fagani. Again, the whistle stays by his side. 5 minutes, not a single whistle in the game that I can remember.
No, and he's let that one go as well. This is dangerous.
Caceres. And now it's there for Robert Mack. And in the 6th minute here at Eden Park, Robert Mack has opened the scoring for the Sky Blues. They've had most of the ball and all of the territory in the early stages, and they have made it count. Robert Mack opens the scoring for Sydney FC.
Immediately, Rufa and Pennington turn to Elariza Fagani. And that is not a free kick, I don't think, generally, Piney, or in the context of this match where so much has been let go in the first 5 minutes. That is the result of this dangerous, dynamic press that Sydney employ. They don't mind pressing high, and this time, early on, it pays benefits, dividends for Sydney.
A 6th goal of the season for Robert Mack, the 16th of his Sydney FC career. And the visitors are in front. They've now scored first 14 times this season, more than anybody else, and have lost just one of the previous 13. Now we're going to have a look at this as VAR having a look.
Regardless of the contact, the Phoenix had 4 or 5 opportunities in the space of the last 90 seconds to try and play their way out of danger. That is not enough, Piney. Pennington needs to get rid of that ball.
Goal stands. Sydney lead, and Wellington with work to do. As I say, they have never lost here. They'll need to come from behind to keep that record intact. Ufuk Talay could hardly have hoped for a better start from his side.
And here's another look. Sydney recycle on the edge of the Phoenix defensive third. Not by design, but by chance it falls to Robert Mack, and then he tidily finishes that one away, Piney.
Good vigorous start by Sydney FC, but Costa Barbarouses has taken it off Luke Bratton, a former teammate. Play will still go on. There's no sign of a free kick anywhere, so it's robust but fair in the eyes of the referee.
And importantly, equal. The Phoenix have seen an invitation to meet the confrontation head on, particularly in the middle of the field, and although they're late to the party, they're starting to pick up the temperature.
Crowd helping them do so, but I don't think Andrew Redmayne's had a touch yet, and we're approaching the 8-minute mark. Lacerda and Matthews are short, and they're passing out from the back. Caceres. This is Lolly. His pass doesn't find feet, but you can see Sydney just snapping away at the heels of Wellington. We saw it in late December. We're seeing it again here on this side of the Tasman in mid-March. Look at those possession stats. Almost 3/4 in Sydney's favour.
And it also speaks to a trend with Sydney starting games quickly. They've scored 23 goals in the first half, Piney. And against the top 6, they've scored 8 in that period. So they don't mind it, and they're not intimidated, particularly coming to Auckland today with that wonderful record for the Phoenix.
Sermon evades Mack, but can't find a teammate. Wellington have gone 1-0 down 8 times this season now. 2 wins, 2 draws and 3 losses in the previous 7, so not all is lost when they concede the first goal. Given away by Kryev, and here comes Sydney again, although Kucharski couldn't find a teammate. Here's Sutton, preferred today to Lucas Kelly-Heald in the left-back position. Evades one would-be challenger. Here comes another, Kucharski. Now he's found Ben Old. Kryev in the area, Barbarouses there as well. Lacerda with a good strong header. Alex Rufer doing what he does best, winning challenges and winning the ball back for his side in midfield. That should be a foul. And Joe Lolly acknowledges as much.
I actually think Lolly...
Is that the first free kick we've had?
I still don't think Fagani has blown the whistle yet. Joe Lolly conceded that was a free kick. Doesn't make for a wonderful battle now that we've got on our hands. It seems to have livened up the Wellington Phoenix. Fagani allowing for competition in the age of VAR. Isn't that wonderful? Here's our first glimpse of the Wellington Phoenix and the way they want to play out.
Forward towards Barbarouses. He's got away from his defender. Costa Barbarouses, saved by Redmayne. He tried to lift over the top of the Sydney FC custodian, who's accessorising himself today with a blue cap. And it did the job against Costa Barbarouses.
Well, it's the second time that Sam Sutton has got on the ball wide down the left. And he finds Costa Barbarouses. We heard from Tom Doyle pre-game that the diagonal ball, the offside width, will be key today. And it's a warning shot. The Phoenix circumnavigated the Sydney press there, and once they did, the danger was apparent.
We'll get your sideline to Tom Doyle in just a sec. Former Phoenix and All Whites defender. There's the latest owner of that position, Sam Sutton. Water drives one out towards Tim Payne. Let's go sideline to Tom Doyle. What's the energy like at ground level, Tom?
It's busy from both teams at the moment. I think Sydney are doing a better job at just holding on to that ball, building pressure. The Phoenix at the moment struggling to hold on to the ball and really get a grasp on it at this stage.
Bright sunshine here at Eden Park. The Phoenix have never been kept goalless here, but they have never scored more than 2 goals in a single game here at Eden Park.
Costa Barbarouses for the second week in a row, the beneficiary of a very effective long ball. Last week it was Kryev, this time it was Sam Sutton. And let's also acknowledge the role of Andrew Redmayne. Blinded by the sun. I'm not sure if that cap's doing much, Piney, but stood up well, made himself a large barrier, which Barbarouses was not able to overcome.
seeking his 50th clean sheet. He's been seeking it for a while, actually. Here's Barbarouses, corner coming.
Only one clean sheet for Sydney this season. Came in a 4-0 win against Newcastle, I believe, Jason.
That's right, that was clean sheet 49 for Andrew Redmayne. 7 games since without keeping the sheet clean, but he's done a good job in keeping the goal intact early here, but he will have to face, he and Sydney FC, the first corner of the contest. Phoenix haven't been prolific from corners this season.
No, they haven't scored yet, Piney.
Tim Payne lining it up. Cluster of players in the 6-yard area. Dealt with well by the Sky Blues. Here's Barbarouses trying to use his body to hold the ball. Can't. Kaczarski. He's done well to hold on to it. That gives it away to Pennington, who's cleverly manipulated it down the right-hand side. Across it goes. Here's Kryev. Matthews with a header. Out to Rufer. Shapes to shoot. Does shoot. Deflected. Into the path of Pennington, who I think was offside. He knew that he couldn't plant it. He knew it'd come from an offside position.
Well, that's for the linesman to make the call, Piney, but I actually think Ryan Grant had dropped a little bit too deep. So I'm not sure why Nico Pennington didn't force the issue there.
He's back in the play now and bringing Payne into an attacking position again. Pretty tight over this right-hand side, so the Phoenix might look to open up some space down their left. Lolly just loses his footing, allowing Old just a second to break forward. Here's Ben Old into the penalty area. Towards the far post it would have been, but Redmayne in the way. Now Pennington. Now he'll shoot. Deflected. That'll be a corner. Luke Bratton in the way.
Oh, that is a very solid intervention from Luke Bratton. Much to the benefit of his goalkeeper. But Pennington finds himself at the top of the 18-yard box. Had time and space to bring that one down, and his goal-bound shot results in this corner.
Sam Sutton to bend this one out towards the penalty spot. There is Wooten, and his lobbed header was never going to trouble Andrew Redmayne. No goals yet this season for Scott Wooten. Well, Andrew Redmayne has gone down here and
suspect, Piney, that this might be to do with a glute or a hip. He's had to come for a number of crosses in the last minute or so. And this might be the result of landing heavily on that right-hand side.
Adam Pavlicic is Sydney's reserve goalkeeper. He's played 2 games so far this season.
I'm not sure if he's even warming up yet, Pavlicic. Which kind of indicates to you, there he is, near the end in the grey top. You can see the orange goalkeeping kit poking out. Not worried. Not worried, is he, Jason?
Yeah, it seems odd, doesn't it, when your goalkeeper's down and receiving treatment, that, I don't know what you used to do, Jacob. Would you be up and about, sort of, you know, getting some throwdowns?
I think the darker arts might suggest that Andrew Redmayne was also trying to take the sting out of what was a Wellington Phoenix side very keen on retribution, having gone behind. Just saw the run-in for the Phoenix there. A number of games up against the top 6. It'll be good to forge and galvanise and get that rhythm heading into the playoffs, which they are all but assured of at this point.
Plenty of jockeying for position still to come, you'd have to imagine, in the top 2, the top 4, the top 6.
Yeah, Tim Payne has just hobbled off, and this does not look good. Hamstring. And this is not what Giancarlo Italiano or Darren Baisley want to see. Pulled up immediately, Piney. And we see here under pressure from Robert Mack, and there it is. It's that ping, it's that motion. immediately reaching for his right hamstring, and this is not good news, because not only is he probably the starting right back for the All Whites, but he is a player of immense experience and is someone who leads this Wellington Phoenix team.
'19th match, 19th start for Tim Payne this season, but in his hometown it all might come to an end in the 18th minute. Houston Salas is an international right back, of course. That is it for Tim Payne. He's not going back on, and I'm pretty sure he's not jumping on a plane to Egypt either.
No, of course, Darren Baisley did select Dane Ingham, the Newcastle Jets right back as well, but this is an issue because we just saw that run in for the Wellington Phoenix into the playoffs. 5 games after this one, and hamstrings are notorious for taking time to rehab.
We'll find out more post-match, no doubt about that, but he knew straight away, Tim Payne, didn't he? He felt it, he stopped, and it just seemed obvious he wasn't going to be able to continue. So a realignment needed for Wellington. Houston Salas, the Costa Rican, into the game. Not the return to Auckland that Tim Payne was after at all. Roof is in a bit of a tight spot, but gets out of it. Here's Ben Old. Once again, so difficult to get the ball off. Narrow pass to Kryev. Lacerda is back, though, and will mop up.
We just saw a glimpse of it there. The Wellington Phoenix, defensively 5-4-1, but in possession, looking to spring into a 3-2-4-1 and get that width beyond the press of Sydney, which comes at times through a very narrow front three.
Sydney haven't cleared this one effectively. It's still there for Wellington. Pennington looking to seize upon it. Redmayne is quickly out. '49th meeting between these two. 27 wins for Sydney to Wellington's 15, 6 drawn matches.
It's just deflated slightly since Payne exited early through that hamstring injury, or suspected one. It's definitely gnarly and spicy in the middle of the park, though.
Here's Robert Mack, the goal scorer. Lolly. Caceres, I don't think, was expecting it, but did well to control it. Holman. Bratton out to Jordan Courtney Perkins.
Sydney noticeably more comfortable on the ball, a lot more patient. The Phoenix, by contrast, quite disjointed at times, a bit dislocated from each other.
You're right, the energy has come out of the venue somewhat with Tim Payne's departure. Wellington have to find a way to regain some vigour, and quickly. So tight over there. He's off Kryev last for what will be a Sydney FC throw.
You can imagine there are a number of Tim Payne fans in the crowd. Went to Sacred Heart before joining Jamie McLaren at Blackburn Rovers, and then came back and played for Auckland City and Eastern Suburbs locally.
He's been a big part of the Wellington Phoenix for a while now, Tim Payne. Game 109 has unfortunately been cut short for the 34 cap defender. It's Matthews. Lacerda. Courtney Perkins. Kucharski on the turn. He's buzzing around. Jaden Kucharski, certainly not a traditional centre forward. Here's Ryan Grant. Lolly in that position he loves to occupy. Courtney Perkins thought about a shot. Thought again about a shot. Tipped over by Paulson.
There's definitely a reinvigorated presence for Sydney FC. Courtney Perkins enjoying life under Tale. Steps in here onto that right foot. Fires that one centrally. Good sight and good touch from Alex Paulson to shepherd that one over the crossbar.
More to do, though, for Wellington. Mack takes towards the back. Lacerda brings it down. Lacerda shoots! Off the woodwork from Gabriel Lacerda.
You can't go much closer than that, Piney. Sydney do well. I think there's a block here that Lacerda benefits from. And it's Ryan Grant. Wrestles the Wellington Phoenix so they can't get out and block the ball. Good hit and almost squeezes it between Paulson and the post.
And it flew agonisingly across the face of goal. Kucharski, I think, was closest. Gabriel Lacerda hasn't scored an A-League men's goal. He won't come closer.
Couple of ironic cheers there as Crave receives a foul from the challenge by Bratton.
Here's the press from Sydney, led by Kucharski, and now Lolly. Up in the faces of Wellington, and again they've dispossessed them. Lolly heads towards the corner flag and then cuts back. Caceres is there to help.
Just feel that the Phoenix are going a bit too wide too early, and it's allowing Sydney to pinch them between the press and the touchline.
Kucharski, clever, couldn't find Mack though, but it is mopped up by Luke Bratton.
This really is a game now tailor-made for Luke Bratton. Comfortable on the ball, has a really strong range of passing, and he's got some willing runners in front of him. None more so than Mack and Lolly.
Well, Luke Bratton and Joe Lolly are second and third in the entire A-League men's for passes in the opposition half. They love to try and cut opposition defences open. There's Bratton again, chalk up another one. Courtney Perkins just a little off with that one.
Dangerous thing for Italiano as well is the bench for Sydney is so strong today. Rodwell, Gomez, King and Burgess.
Yeah, plenty of artillery there. No Oscar Zavada for Wellington. He's still not able to take his place. His involvement this season has been severely limited through injury. Giancarlo Italiano will hope that his towering pole is available for the run-in and finals football. Matthews goes long. No chase from Joe Lolly on that one.
No, he was just reading Sam Sutton, who was looking to step onto the right back. Unfortunately, just a misweighted pass for Ufuk Tale.
Here's Mack, the goal scorer. Courtney Perkins. Tracked all the way by Sermon and Salah, so it'll be a Sydney FC throw.
Certainly not the battle that we saw in round 10 in Sydney. But it's following a similar pattern. Early goal to Sydney.
Here's Kucharski. He's looking to line up a shot and does, deflected behind for a corner. Jaden Kucharski looking to double Wellington's trouble. 2 goals already this season. His eyes lit up as he sized up a third.
Such an exciting prospect, Jaden Kucharski. Great combination of energy and quality. Onto the right foot there, and it required intervention, desperate intervention to stop that one, threatening Alex Paulson.
Just a brief delay there as something was sorted out. It has been. We can go again. Bratton. Cross is good. Not cleared by Wellington. Courtney Perkins doubles Sydney's lead. Wellington failed to clear in their own 6-yard area. Courtney Perkins was closest and needed no second invitation. A third goal of the season for him. A second for Sydney. They lead it 2-0.
Well, as was the case last week against Melbourne City, the Wellington Phoenix concede from an indirect corner. Bratton's got the angle. It really is a nothing ball, though. Should be defended, isn't. And Courtney Perkins had a snapshot minutes ago. This time and space beyond Alex Paulson.
It has sucker punched the big crowd here at Eden Park. Giancarlo Italiano with some notes to make and some thinking to do. Courtney Perkins. They're just checking a possible handball by Courtney Perkins there, so there may yet be a respite for Wellington.
Well, definitely pinballed in between Sydney FC and Phoenix defenders. Get a second chance to have a look here. Ball in, doesn't get cleared at the front post, flicked on by a Phoenix player, off the thigh of Sermon, and does that come off the forearm of Courtney Perkins? You can't really do anything about it, Piney. It's so close.
Kate Jakowitz is in the VAR booth having a number of looks at this. And she has decided the goal will not stand. It has hit the arm of Courtney Perkins, and any contact on the hand or arm that leads to a goal gets chalked off. So Sydney FC thought they were 2-0 ahead. It drops back down to just the one.
Well, a real let-off for the Wellington Phoenix. VAR intervention saves them this time.
Can they take advantage of a real reprieve? Kryev, haven't seen much of him in the first half hour. He needs to get more involved, you'd imagine the Bulgarian does now. No David Ball in the starting lineup today for Wellington. A rare spot on the bench for the Englishman. Salas will do well to keep that in. He's managed it just. And his header bounces out. So at 2-0 down, it was a mountain to climb for Wellington as we tick over the half-hour mark. A reprieve. Can they take advantage? Going to take his sideline to Tom Doyle in just a moment. Here's Courtney Perkins, he thought goal scorer. We all thought. Matthews. Now Lacerda.
I think there's a talking point, Piney. If that was a defender, would you be looking at a possible handball which would take the opponent to the penalty spot? I'm not sure if this counts at all, but it looked to be in a natural position from Courtney Perkins. The ball was so close.
So Sydney seeking an actual second goal. Lolly has breezed past the defence, behind for a corner. Tom Doyle is sideline for us. Tim Payne has limped off. Tom, Houston Salas is there. What sort of sense are you getting from Wellington as they look to repel Sydney?
Look, it was a disappointment to see Payne come off. The Phoenix felt a little bit flat after that as well. The crowd was too, but they got to celebrate a disallowed goal. So there's a bit of a buzz back in the stadium, which is good to see.
Good stuff, Tom. Tom Doyle, sideline for us this afternoon in the sunshine. Everybody back for Wellington, including Costa Barbarouses, who now breaks forward, but Bratton's there ahead of him.
Outside of the rebuttal for the opening goal and eventually the one that stood, haven't really seen much from the Wellington Phoenix, Piney. They're trying to circulate. They're showing some conviction in playing out, but by and large they've been suffocated by Sydney FC.
Well, this was largely the pattern when the two teams met in Sydney in late December, wasn't it? Sydney controlled and dominated the first half. Wellington kept it to one goal and drew level late on before Sydney FC got a couple of late goals of their own to win it 3-1. So it's following a similar pattern in that Sydney FC are certainly dominating the first stanza.
There's that controlled gamble. Sydney FC commit players in and around the ball to win it up front. And they are doing a really efficient job of that so far this afternoon, but that does leave the space in behind. It seems out wide if you look at the avenue to the Wellington Phoenix chances. But quite simply, they aren't being given enough time on the ball to get the play into those dangerous positions. Might also be a bit of trauma from that game in Sydney, Piney. I've chatted to a few people around the league. There's a bit of a common thread in terms of the view that that Sydney press did change the confidence and conviction with the way in which the Wellington Phoenix play out from the back.
Here's Barbarouses. Andrew Redmayne's all the way out, but hasn't managed to clear it at the first attempt. He does it the second. Doesn't matter, Costa Barbarouses was offside, so no need for panic.
Well, speaking of trauma, that looks remarkably similar to a chance that Redmayne gave away earlier in the season. I think it was at Suncorp Stadium against the Brisbane Roar. Saved, of course, by the fact that Barbarouses was offside, but that will not give Ufuk Talay confidence.
259th game in the A-League men's for Andrew Redmayne. Holman can't find a mark with that, but Rowan Grant heads it forward. Very little of this game has been played in Sydney's half. Kucharski putting pressure on Isaac Hughes.
This is very unfamiliar territory, Piney, for the Wellington Phoenix. If you take out that really comprehensive victory by Newcastle Jets, they've only been behind, by my calculations, for a total of 39 minutes this season.
That is quite the stat. Quite the stat. Here comes Sydney again. Holman. Lolly. Loves the left foot strike. Straight at Paulson. Joe Lolly's taken more shots this season than anybody else. And 17 more than the second most. So he's heading towards the 100. Can raise the bat soon on shots at goal, Joe Lolly.
Pretty even in terms of productivity. Sydney just shading the shots on goal by 2. Get the sense of the Phoenix can get a foothold, particularly in midfield, and shift Sydney side to side. More opportunities will come their way.
Alex Paulson will hop on a plane to Egypt tomorrow, hoping to earn a first all-whites cap. He's got some stiff competition in the goalkeeping ranks. Ollie Sale, Perth Glory keeper. Max Crocombe doing great things in the UK. Good cohort of custodians to choose from for Darren Baisley at the moment, Spoons.
Nick Zanev and Michael Veld in and amongst the conversation as well. It's great to see Ollie Sale not only playing regularly, but coming up with important saves for Perth Glory.
Here comes Sydney again. Caceres is the furthest advance. Can he make room for a shot? Can't. Lolly, he'll line up another one. This one's deflected. Here's the goal scorer, Mack. Courtney Perkins looking for another opportunity to trouble Alex Paulson. Good tackle by Bojidar Krajev. He hits the deck. Houston Salas also does. Play on, says the referee, and probably fair enough. Can they make it count? Wellington, no.
And Sam Sutton throws his arms up there. Bojidar Krajev looking for Ben Old, but the opportunity to keep the ball was wide. It's just in small moments like that, Jason, where Wellington Phoenix have overcome the press. They've managed to battle their way to the other side of the field. Decision-making needs to be a lot better.
Here's Courtney Perkins. Lolly's come across to the left-hand side. Kucharski. He can't find Mack, and Ben Old now tries to streak away. Tied it up by Pennington. Krajev is fouled, but Sutton might latch on to it. And does, so play can go on. He keeps it in, Sam Sutton. Old is there with him, but a bit close. Lovely ball by Sutton into the path of Ben Old. Ben Old shoots! Crowd on this side saw the net ruffle. Side netting from Ben Old.
Well, in back play, Bojidar Crave is getting a telling off by Fagani, but let's focus on the positive for the Wellington Phoenix. Sam Sutton just hesitated, waited for the run from Ben Old. And then Old, as Lacerda did, tried to squeeze that one between goalkeeper and post and forces a very important save from Andrew Redmayne.
Yeah, good save from Redmayne. The conversation continues between Iranian and Bulgarian. Elariza Fagani and Bojidar Kraev. Corner for Wellington, their third. Sutton takes. Wharton again with the first header. Here's Pennington into the area but can't control. And scrambled away by the visitors. Helped back in by Salas. Once again, doesn't fall the way of Wellington, and there's a flag up for offside, so they'll come back for a Sydney FC free kick.
I think what Kraev was talking to Fagani about was the fact that he was fouled in the build-up to that chance, taking issue with the hesitancy of the whistle.
First of a Wellington Phoenix Sydney FC double header this weekend, of course. The respective women's sides will meet tomorrow from 4 o'clock in Porirua, just north of Wellington. We'll have it live for you from just before 4 o'clock here on Sky Sport. Ball played forward. Here's Ben Old. Can he get in front of Grant? Can't. And Ryan Grant uses his experience to shepherd it back to Redmayne. Ben Old acknowledges the pass. You get the feeling that he's the man who Wellington have to involve most of all, Ben Old.
He's playing rather centrally at the moment. We have seen him rotated by Italiano in the midfield in a number of different roles, and then of course up front as well, but at the moment being very effectively shepherded by Bratton and Holman in particular. The two youngsters going up against each other today, Holman and Old. We've talked a lot about Ben Old's quality, but Holman is someone who's been given a chance and really grabbed it with both hands this season.
Finn Sermon just manages to keep that one in, but Luke Bratton is not fouled, it appears, by Costa Barbarouses, and now the foul is against the Sydney FC player.
And Tale against Fagani on the pitch, but Tim Payne no longer there. And there we see the ice on the hamstring, evident of the discomfort of Tim Payne.
Now Ben Old's gone down. I think just a heavy collision more than anything else. Well, Wellington will certainly hope so.
Well, Sydney are the side that have fouled the most in the competition this season, and Ben Old is asking the question of Fagani. Don't mind the coming together in midfield, not being given him play, being allowed to flow, but it's just when the Phoenix are breaking. The way in which they play, they do ask the referees for that protection once they get beyond that initial defensive line.
Well, thankfully Ben Old's okay. Corey Holman the culprit. You just saw our graphic there. 6 fouls by Sydney FC. Not a single one in the first 41 minutes from Wellington Phoenix. Old delivers. And it is a header by Sermon, down and up and over. Andrew Redmayne, well, he was completely untracked.
I actually think that this is an underappreciated save, Piney. Good ball in. Poor defending from Sydney FC, and Andrew Redmayne will be looking right into the sun, into the ground of Sermon, and he could have very easily mistimed that one, Piney, because I'm sure he would have been blinded and just looking to get that contact with the ball.
Yeah, the cap does its job again for Andrew Redmayne. Pennington lines up the resulting corner into the 6-yard area and cleared by Lacerda. Wellington with a bit of wind in their sails late in the first half. Barbarouses lobs that one in, and Redmayne didn't have to make the save as it turned out because it had gone behind.
As we head towards half-time, let's just acknowledge the fact that Alex Paulson's going to face the same, if not worse, in the second half. Andrew Redmayne will be very happy to say goodbye to that cap.
It's kicking towards the west, where the sun sets, of course. Alex Paulson will be hoping it has set low enough for it not to be an issue for him in the second half. 2.5 minutes plus stoppages in the first period. Hughes goes long. Ben Old hoped that he had evaded the offside trap, hadn't, because the flag's up on this near side. Alireza Pagani acknowledges it and says we can play on, no problem.
Real contrast when Sydney are on the ball, allowed to circulate. Shifted from side to side, relatively untroubled. Not so when the Phoenix are on the ball.
Yeah, looking for a 9th unbeaten outing. Sydney FC, the last time they lost was in Unite round when Adelaide United got the better of them 4-3. But for the way they started, 3 defeats and not a single goal to show for themselves in the first 3 matches. It's been quite the turnaround. Wojciech Krajew gets a big right toe to that and pokes it past Lacerda, who kept up pretty well, the Brazilian defender.
That was a good wrestle between the Brazilian and the Bulgarian.
Wharton goes long. There's a suggestion he might have been caught as he played that. He's up on his feet and he's appealing to Alireza Pagani about what happened. So is Giancarlo Italiano.
Yeah, well, I've got to question that one, actually. I think Fagani's done well to let the game go, but Kaczarski was incredibly late there. Wooten, Italiano and Rufa all asking the question this time.
Once again, the sun's a factor. Costa Barbarousa shielding his eyes from it. 4 extra minutes minimum before we have our half-time break. Pennington helps it on towards Krajew. Inside is Barbarousa. Krajew still has it. Squares it up. Ben Old, a tight angle. Back in across the 6-yard area and Matthews in the way.
It was fortuitous. Krajew found Old. Unfortunately, very static in the box. Pennington and Barbarousa stationary.
Here's Kaczarski, skips away from Rufa. Can't find Lolly.
And there we go, Italiano. Not willing to let the challenge by Kaczarski on Wooten go. Do typically see defenders protected in that sense, Piney. If you step across their follow through or even miss the timing of the tackle marginally, you do see not only a free kick, but typically a yellow card being produced.
Slick passing here by Wellington. Can they find an end product with Krajew breaking forward? Salas outside. Barbarousa's off on a run. Krajew shoots. Not a lot of power and no direction for Wojciech Krajew. Andrew Redmayne went to deck but was well aware of where his goal was.
There we go, we get to see it now. And it's a bit banal, Piney, but Kaczarski doesn't get anything on the ball. I think what the Phoenix are looking for is a just outcome. It's just a free kick because Salas didn't keep the ball in, but have given them the opportunity to reset and, importantly, keep the ball because they really haven't seen much of it in a controlled manner in this first 45.
Yeah, our stats show 60-40 or thereabouts in favour of the visitors. That's possession of the football. Rufer battling away to hold on to it for Wellington now.
And as we've seen on screen, a significant amount of the Phoenix's possession is actually where they're being chased and harried by Sydney FC. To that end, they're largely controlling the manner in which the Phoenix are playing.
Steve Corica, Terry McFlynn, interested bystanders, head coach and head of football for the New Auckland FC. You could just catch a glimpse of Nick Becker, the CEO, alongside. They bought a box here today, come to see their soon-to-be derby opponents. Steve Corica, of course, a long association with Sydney FC as well, as did Terry McFlynn.
Interested that Mike Higgins was doing the majority of the talking there.
No surprise. Now the shot comes in, Redmayne palms it wide.
We're right at the death of this first half, and the Wellington Phoenix earn a corner, and it's a good save. Andrew Redmayne stayed on his toes, focused on that one, and good contact beyond the post.
Dying embers of the first half. Pennington takes the corner. Doesn't find a Phoenix head, but may be able to be recycled through Sutton. Thought about a shot, instead brings Ben Olden. His cross doesn't find a target, and then Rufer with an ambitious effort flies over, and that might be that for the first half here at Eden Park.
Well, they're behind, and they've been fortunate. The goal chalked off by VAR, but the Wellington Phoenix have shown in moments the ability to get back into this game. Would love to know what the halftime talk is going to be by Chiefy.
His players are about to find out, because that is it for the first half here at the Garden of Eden, as the two sets of players trudge towards the tunnel. Sydney FC do it with more of a spring in their step, courtesy of Robert Mack's goal in just the 6th minute. It has the Sky Blues into a 1-0 lead over the Wellington Phoenix at Eden Park.
No, my Hawkeye, my. Great to have your company here in a sun-bathed Eden Park, a lovely Saturday evening. If you're a Sydney FC player, coach and or fan, because they are spoiling the Wellington Phoenix farewell party. They lead at the break courtesy of a very early Robbie Mack goal in the 6th minute. It's 1-0. Time for the halftime show with former Wellington Phoenix defender Tom Doyle alongside. Tom, it's almost like Sydney FC, they've come to party and taken advantage of, I suppose, Giancarlo Italiano showing his hand early, selecting Isaac Hughes in a 3-man central defensive prong, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. It's almost like they've been training all week to press a back three. They've pressed them early from the start, and it seems to have just flustered that defensive line. They're really struggling to get the ball into Alex Rufer to turn and play the ball to those key members like Costa Barbarouses.
And as we take a look at how Robbie Mack troubled the scorers in the 6th minute, there's this foul in the build-up. Nicholas Pennington, he's pushed over. I mean, when you look at it in isolation, you could probably say, hey, maybe you could blow a foul, but Alireza Fagani has been letting stuff go all afternoon, and that was not a foul.
No, that's right. I think he set a precedent from the start that he was going to let the game flow. Look, for me, it probably wasn't a foul. They do get called. We've seen them get called week in, week out. But to disallow a goal, I think would have been pretty tough. But I do like seeing a free-flowing game, so no complaints from me.
And, of course, Jordan Courtney Perkins did have a goal ruled out. They would have gone to 2-0, but for his handball, as we've just seen. As we take a look at the halftime stats here at Eden Park, possession and territory was heavily favoured towards Sydney FC. Has that slightly swung as we've gotten to the break?
Yeah, definitely. There was definitely a feel the Phoenix were getting on top of them in the second half of that half, but they did start extremely poorly. Whether that's down to them trying out a new formation, I'm not too sure, but they just struggled on the ball and they struggled really to get control of the game.
And they struggled when all white and right back for the Wellington Phoenix, Tim Payne, hobbled off the field in the 17th minute. This will be a real worry not only for Chiefy and the Wellington Phoenix run towards the playoffs, but also Darren Baisley and his All Whites seeing Tim Payne hobble off the field like this.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Tim's a good friend of mine, and you know, I know how hard he works, and something like this is always disappointing at this end of the season, especially with All Whites coming up. So hopefully it's not as bad as it looks, and I wish him a speedy recovery.
Oh, I know you're no Dr. Tom Doyle.
No,
but
not at all.
if it's just a slight tear, a slight strain, what kind of prognosis are you looking at? What's his return to play protocol looking like?
Oh, look, he's probably got a good couple of weeks of rehab, depending on how the ultrasound comes in. I'd imagine he gets tomorrow. So it'll be a nervous probably 24 hours to make sure it's not too bad of a tear and that he can get back as quick as possible for those final games of the season.
Bringing in Houston Salas, was that the sensible approach from Chiefy?
I think so, and it's hard to say that he didn't make a good impact because they really did play better in that second half of the game, or second half of the first half, I should say. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. I just want to see them hold on to the ball a bit better, because when they do, they're really able to get those guys involved like Costa.
And if you're a Sydney FC fan, wow, you'd be impressed with their press. We spoke about it in the pre-game, Tom, with Jacob Spoonley as well. They just like to suffocate and strangle an opposition. We saw them do something similar in the early exchanges of their match just after Christmas. They did it again early doors here.
Yeah, they did. And that's when they're at their best. They win the ball high up, and then they get their ball men on the ball in that final third, and that's where these opportunities are coming from. They're just winning the ball so high that the Phoenix are outnumbered. And look, this opportunity here, it was just from a high press, a really well done high press.
And we're seeing for probably the second time this season, if we're counting that match against the Sydney FC late December, we're seeing for the second time only some misplaced passes, the likes of Alex Paulson, who's usually so comfortable on the ball, spraying them a little bit, going either over the sideline or to Sydney FC players, Tom.
Yeah, look, I think they've drilled into them so hard about the 4-4-2 and how they play with the two blocks, and they know the passes, whereas it does feel like this is the first time almost they've got together and done it. And they're looking up and they're not seeing those passes that are usually there. They're adding a bit of pressure, and that's when you're seeing those turnovers happen.
So contrasting halftime talks, no doubt, from Ufi Tele to his Sydney FC and Giancarlo Italiano to his Wellington Phoenix players. What do you think Chiefy is drilling into them now, and what changes can he make in the second half to turn this result around?
I think the big thing will be not to panic. They've had some really clear-cut good opportunities, and those will come again, I think, in the second half. If they obviously don't concede another goal early on to the second half, I think they'll build more, get hold of the ball, and that'll just create opportunities for Costa. And like I said, Costa to get on the ball, and they'll have opportunities to steal this game, I think.
The Wellington Phoenix are behind at the break. They have never been defeated at Eden Park. It's their farewell match before Auckland FC takes over this city. Sydney FC don't care. They want 3 points, and they're 45 minutes away from them.
It's goals in 3 consecutive games for the Croatian Robert Mack. Here's the latest of them. It's the goal that has Sydney FC in a 1-0 lead here. He scored against Brisbane Roar a week ago, and also on the score sheet in the derby the weekend before. So Robert Mack is Sydney FC's main man at the moment. 1-0 to the Sky Blues at half-time. Some thinking to do, and no doubt some words of varying degrees of intensity under the stands. Jacob, what do you think Giancarlo Italiano's message is?
I think it'll be mixed, but bear with me here, Piney. I think ball speed is important. The Phoenix need to shift the ball a lot quicker, but in the initial phases, what they'll want to do is actually invite Sydney to press. So less is more. Keep the ball central, because what we've seen is that Sydney want to pinch in, and once you've drawn them in, if you do it from a central position, you can then go beyond and wide very quickly. But at the moment, Sydney are pinching the Phoenix into wide areas.
Wellington Phoenix have scored 21 second-half goals compared to just 12 in the first half, so they're certainly a second-half side when it comes to their goal scoring. Sydney FC, meantime, have conceded 19 times in the second half. You fancy this is a very important 45 minutes in the seasons of both of these sides. Not so much in whether they stay in the top six, but where they finish in 5 or 6 weeks' time in that top six mix. Here we go in the second half at Eden Park. Wellington Phoenix all in gold, attacking the goal to left of screen. That is the western end of Eden Park. Sydney FC heading back towards the right of screen, going from west to east. The sun is in the eyes of Alex Paulson in Wellington's goal. He's opted not to emulate Andrew Redmayne. He's gone without the cap. Will the sun in his eyes be a factor in the second half? It certainly caused challenges for Andrew Redmayne in the first, but he was up to all of them. And at the moment, it's a clean sheet. It'll be his 50th for Sydney FC if he maintains it. Scott Wootton shields his eyes from the sun and then plays it forward towards a teammate. Nodded back towards Redmayne pretty cleverly. Houston Sullis was on the run. Courtney Perkins thought he was fouled. Didn't matter. Back to Redmayne. So all's well that ends well for Sydney FC.
Underappreciated part of Sydney FC's performance in the first half was that man that was just on the ball, Luke Bratton, along with Holman. In those defensive midfield positions, they did rather blanket the Phoenix, and any time that Kraev and Old got the ball on their toes was one of those two.
Yeah, they look a different kind of side, don't they, with Luke Bratton there. Does pretty well against the Phoenix historically as well. 15 wins, 2 draws, just 5 losses against Wellington in his A-League men's career, Luke Bratton. Here's Lolly. Good tackle by Rufer to get the ball back for Wellington. Lovely ball from Old into the path of Kraev. Across came Lacerda. Not a bad battle that. Kraev, Lacerda, corner results.
I think that's round 4 between those two. Lovely ball in from Ben Old. Beautiful weight, and Lacerda had a bit of a meal of that. Wasn't decisive defending.
So an early set-piece situation for Wellington. Sam Sutton sizing it up. Half a dozen corners now for Wellington. Set move out to Ben Old. Drifts it towards the far post. Flapped away by Andrew Redmayne. Good hand, actually. Good strong hand. Flaps probably the wrong word.
Redmayne grabs that right hip again. Ben Old in a one-on-one with Caceres. Looks to stand it up to the back post, where Bojidar Kraev was lurking again. He's not a happy camper. That's the second time this afternoon we've seen him wincing about that right hip.
Yeah, he fell heavily on it, didn't he? Keep an eye on that from Andrew Redmayne. He's dispensed with a cap now, doesn't need it. Sun is behind him in the second half. Rufer on the half turn. Brings Salas in. Couldn't take it in his stride. Courtney Perkins is there. Costa Barbarouses seizes upon it. No way forward for Costa. Can he win something for his side? I'll recalibrate now towards the left. Sermon.
And this is better from the Phoenix, setting the tone in the second half. Effectively getting that ball side to side, using the full width of the field.
Kaczarski, though, seizes upon it, and Isaac Hughes is breathing a sigh of relief there as nothing comes of it. I guess one of the truisms of the pressing game is that it's very difficult to do it for 90-plus minutes. Here come Wellington again. They've started the second half the better. Kraev brings in Pennington towards the far post where Olders on the volley. Ben Old. His eyes lit up. Couldn't get the connection he was after.
Was the first glimpse of the elasticity that Italiano does employ. The Phoenix break forward quickly. No one tracking Ben Old at the back post. And for a man in form, you would have expected him to get a cleaner contact on the ball. Just returning to that point that you made, Jason, about not being able to press for 90 minutes, not having that energy to continue as Sydney started. I think you mentioned they've conceded 19 goals in the second half. 14 of those have come in the last 30 minutes. They do wane towards the end of games.
The Phoenix have certainly started better in the second half. Almost an errant pass there from Hughes that Paulson lumps upfield. Just a bit of messy play there involving both sides. A win for Sydney FC today would lift them above Macarthur FC, but they're in action at the moment at Ballymore against Brisbane Roar. So it'll depend on the result of that game. Later on tonight, Perth and Western Sydney go head-to-head out west. Here's Bratton pulling strings for Sydney FC. Nice ball to Lolly. They cut in on that left foot and get a shot away. No room for that, so goes back. Helped in by Grant, who will get a second bite at it.
Too often this afternoon, we've seen that from the Phoenix, just dangling a leg as they look to get out of their 18-yard box, and it's not enough. Sydney able to recycle.
Reverse pass from Lolly. Barbarouses plays it forward. Just a bit too much on it for Kraev.
Well, Serta got himself in a tangle again, and Matthews had gone over to provide cover, but it wasn't enough. Barbarouses overcooked that one just ever so slightly, but Kraev was crashing through the centre. It's the latest in a sequence of much better play from the Wellington Phoenix.
Yep, Giancarlo Italiano will be encouraged, as will the fan base here, but now Caceres looking to construct something for Sydney FC. Halfway by Hughes. Rufer helps it forward. Costa Barbarouses ahead of Bratton. And he just can't quite find Rufer, who loses his footing. Kucharski sets off. Jaden Kucharski, a foot in, and another little stumble. Players just losing their footing at the moment. Here's Caceres. And Isaac Hughes gets it away.
And as we move towards that hour mark where coaches seem to gravitate towards in terms of making a change, Oscar Van Hatten is warming up.
Pennington over towards Barbarouses. Onside at the moment. Here's Costa. Slides it back in. It's an own goal. But a flag is up on the far side for offside. It is not going to count.
Well, this looked tight in real time. We'll see here Costa Barbarouses. Oh, that shadow doesn't provide a crisp line, but it does suggest that this is going to be a marginal decision either way, regardless Barbarouses, as he did moments ago, tries to find Kraev, but it's turned in by the Sydney defence.
Yeah, Hayden Matthews, the man who got the final touch before it rolled over the line. VAR will obviously look at it.
And again, it's that ball across the back line, using the width. The free man on the offside for the Wellington Phoenix. I think that one's fine. It's the one where Costa Barbarouses receives the ball.
Yeah, is Kraev advanced of Barbarouses when he plays the ball? If he's not, then he can't be offside.
Reading the body language of the assistant referee, I think this is going to be for the ball that finds Barbarouses in the build-up. Appreciative of the play there. Formed a rather formidable combination, those two.
Yeah, it's that one. It's
Ryan,
that one.
Thank you, Piney. Ryan Grant, does he just hesitate? Does he step back at the right time? Costa Barbarouses does have the benefit of looking across the Sydney back line.
We're hearing that this might be the cue for a bit of applause and cheering from the Phoenix crowd. We're hearing this is going to be overturned. It has been. Hayden Matthews has diverted the ball into his own net, and Wellington draw level at the Garden of Eden.
For the second time this afternoon, the Wellington Phoenix are the beneficiaries of VAR intervention. It was tight. Barbarouses was waiting and waiting. He eventually held his line, holds his run, and then puts that ball into an area where Matthews can only turn it beyond Redmayne.
Yeah, I don't know, there's a lot more Hayden Matthews can do. If he doesn't get a touch on it, then it's a tap-in for Božidar Kraev. He'll go down as the goal scorer. And now there's a foul from kick-off, Holman on Barbarouses. So we're level here in Auckland. And you probably have to say on the balance of the second half, Wellington would consider themselves, I mean, I think they deserve the 1-1 draw, they would say.
No, they've exchanged first punches. In the opening 45, Sydney bulldozed and set the tone, and that pressure ultimately led to a goal. And what we've seen from the Phoenix in the second half hasn't come about from the press as it did with Sydney, but they are starting to move that ball, shifting Sydney around the field, moving the ball side to side, and that's allowing them to stretch this blue wall.
So with that equaliser, and as things stand, Wellington would go back tonight to the top of the A-League men's ladder. They've jumped to 41 points, one ahead of the Mariners, who don't have a game this weekend.
I just will make mention of this, Piney, and I'm not saying that he's going to be credited with the goal today, but after each of the Phoenix's losses, Costa Barbarouses has produced a double.
There's the live ladder as it stands at the moment. Sydney would go to 32 points and stay fifth. Wellington would go top, but they would have played one extra game. A game that's looming large if it does stay like this, or if Wellington can get their noses in front, is the match between Wellington Phoenix and the Central Coast Mariners in Gosford on the 6th of April. Could be a top-of-the-table clash, which could even decide the minor premiers.
It was a fascinating battle that we saw in Wellington. Both teams immensely respectful of the armoury and the arsenal that the other had.
Sydney will believe they've got what it takes to go ahead again. Robert Mack, their goal scorer. Players losing their footing out there quite regularly at the moment. Bratton. Lolly.
Suggests that the turf hasn't rebounded as quickly as the ground crew would have wanted after that Pink concert, Piney.
Well, if Wellington can find a way to win, there'll be a few glasses raised at the end of this one. I wonder what the Auckland FC contingent are making of it all. Here's Robert Mack. Here's Caceres. Salasevs gets an arm to him. Caceres! What an effort from Anthony Caceres.
Well, Jaden Kucharski hit the crossbar in the fixture here last year, and Caceres goes close. That whizzes over the top of Alex Paulson's goal.
Sub coming for Sydney FC. Here is their main man in attack, Fabio Gomez. 9 goals in 20 games. Jaden Kucharski, an energetic hour from him. Krajev is adjudged to have fouled his defender there, Matthews.
And that's the reason why. The Bulgarian bundling his way into Matthews. Didn't even know where the ball was. Well, we've seen resolve from the Phoenix here, and at times this season they have converted to conservatism after getting back into games or taking leads. They can't do that today. Sydney can fire more shots from their bench. They've got to keep the tempo up and continue the pace of play and the control that they demonstrated inside this first 15 minutes.
Sydney FC will have another opportunity here to set up a set piece. Lolly and Mack, whose Sydney FC careers have basically run alongside one another, are standing alongside the football at the moment. It is going to be Lolly. It's against the post. It's a great header and a great save by Paulson. Second attempt and then the third as well. But the first one hit the post. The second was an outstanding piece of goalkeeping from the hometown boy, Alex Paulson.
I think he gets 2 bites at this, Piney. Alex Paulson stands and waits. This ball goes into the traffic. Flick on. Is that a touch onto the post? Then fortuitously, the ball hits him when he's on the ground, and I think it's actually a third save right at the end.
Has he got a hand on that first one? That is a triple save from Alex Paulson. More to do though for Wellington.
Let's have a look at this, Piney. That is a save. That's fingertips onto the post. Fortunately, he's in the right place on the ground, and then the third save.
Well, your eyes are better than mine, Jake, but I'll take your word for it. You're always going to side with the goalkeepers, I know, but if that's a triple save, then that is quite something from Alex Paulson.
Even with the union card on the table, Piney, that man has been wonderful this year, and I think that is his latest important save for Italiano.
Let's get you down sideline. Tom Doyle's been watching it all unfold. The energy of this game seems to have changed quite considerably in the second half, Tom. Actually, I'll come to you in a moment. We'll just let this play out. Luke Bratton, Gomez, Mack, Robert Mack, and deflected behind Tom Doyle's sideline. How's it feeling?
It's good. There's a great buzz around at the moment. I will comment, though, you spoke about the pitch. They put a lot of water on there at half-time, and I've seen about 10 players slip over, so they probably didn't know that they needed to change their studs at half-time. But on the game, it's been very exciting. Great start for the Phoenix, and hopefully more to come.
Sydney FC hot on attack in this little period, though. It's towards the edge where Lolly volleys. Now Bratton. It's wide.
Well, they've already scored, or almost scored, from a set play this afternoon, and that was a wonderful piece of play. Bodies in and around the 6-yard box, allowed space for Lolly. Good contact on the ball. I guess that was going goalward, Piney.
I would say so. As we mentioned in the first half, he's taken more shots at goal than anybody else this A-League men's season.
He is irrepressible, and to further that point, he is the main avenue to chances and goals for Gomez, the man on the field now.
Yeah, 9 goals for Gomez, as mentioned, 7 for Lolly so far. Mack with his 6th this afternoon, so they're the 3. Barbarousta's trying to get away from Lacerda, and does. Looks up, sees a yellow shirt in the penalty area belonging to Krajev. look at that slipping and sliding. Tom Dawes talked about the pitch being watered. It's clearly making things really challenging for both sets of players.
Sydney get a respite through circulation. Well, we've talked about the energy and the press that they exert. I get a sense as well it's kind of costing them in possession, Piney. Looking fatigued the further into the second half we get. Bratton and Holman circulating and controlling the midfield well, but it's all a bit static in front of them at the moment.
Pennington looks to free up Salas, who's off on a run. Lacerda is in front position, but can only put it out for a throw. I just wonder whether the Phoenix might be targeting the Brazilian centre-back.
He's labouring at the moment, and his decision-making isn't anywhere near as decisive as it needs to be. He's almost waiting for the Phoenix opponent to get close to the ball before he even attempts a challenge.
And Jake Girdwood-Reich watching, no doubt, back home in Sydney. He's had a bit of a mortgage on that centre-back position for the last little while. Suspended today and unable to make the trip.
There was such a disruptive force in the midfield last time these two sides met as well, Piney. Every time Sydney pressed in the first half, his name was either there or close by.
And he's been a real utility with great value for Sydney FC. Not out there today. Too much on that one for Caceres. Following this, of course, it's the international break, so all sides will get the weekend off next weekend. Sydney FC next host the Central Coast Mariners on the Saturday night of Easter weekend. Wellington Phoenix at home to Brisbane Roar Easter Sunday. There's Steve Corica, Terry McFlynn and Ali Williams in front with the New York cap, an investor in Auckland FC and a very interested bystander or by-sitter here today.
One who's been floating around a number of the chances to bring A-League football to Auckland. Of course, he and Anna Mowbray formed joint investors in Auckland Football Club. Was some cheeky suggestion from James McConey that maybe Ali Williams was trying to replicate the Ponsonby Rugby Club colours, Piney.
Here's Bratton. Brings Grant in, the two stalwarts. Here's another Caceres. All that experience out here on the right-hand side for Sydney FC. Broken up, though, by Rufer. Pennington looks up, gets on the half-turn and decides to drive forward. Kraevers set upon by Bratton, but actually gets a foot to it, and Wellington might carry on here, but Old can't control. Tom Doyle was telling me he's given quite a bit of business advice to Ali Williams over the years, pre-game. They play a lot of basketball together, I understand.
Sorry, which way was that advice going?
Pretty sure it was from the footballer to the rugby player.
I suspect there's a few more zeros in Ali Williams' bank account.
Salas into the path of Barbarouses. He's onside at the moment. Kraev in the area. He cuts back. Costa Barbarouses! Flag stays down. Score goes up. Costa Barbarouses puts Wellington in front.
But when the Phoenix have lost, the next week has been defined by that man on camera. So influential in the first goal. Almost a solo artist in the second. Lovely run. Lacerda has no idea where he is. And from there, it's all about Costa Barbarouses ducking and diving onto the left foot beyond Redmayne. The Phoenix have the lead.
It is by far his most prolific goal-scoring season for Wellington. 11 now for Costa Barbarouses. Moves him up to joint 4th on the Golden Boot list for the A-League men's, but he won't care about that. One thing it has also done is taken him past his great mate Archie Thompson on the all-time list. Believe that number goes up to 91 now. Archie Thompson, 90. In his sights, Shane Smeltz with 92, but the most important metric is the one top left. Wellington have come from 1-0 down to lead 2-1. And there is Costa Barbarouses in his place in the Golden Boot list.
Little shrug there from Costa Barbarouses. Suspect the delay is for a VAR check to be confirmed as being complete. It was tight at halfway. Barbarouses was ducking into the space behind Lacerda.
Goal stands. So Costa Barbarouses timed his run. And so twice now it's been pretty tight with runs from Barbarouses, and both times he stayed the right side.
Well, the dangerous part of all of this from Sydney.
On that thought, here's Barbarouses again, and he can't control. I think he got caught in two minds. Should he lob Redmayne? Should he carry it forward? He did neither.
I think the water at halftime might have played its part in that as well. Looked to skid onto Barbarouses. He wasn't expecting it. But Piney just coming back to the comment that was rudely interrupted by that Costa Barbarouses point. The Phoenix have the best home record of any side in the competition and have only dropped 4 points. A possible 4 points from winning positions so far this season.
Do not go to sleep on Sydney FC. 8 games unbeaten. Plenty of attacking weaponry. Mack, Lolly, Gomez, all out there. Their top 3 goal scorers. Max Burgess waiting to make an impact from the bench and looking to hurt his former side.
Don't underestimate the role that Joel King could play, or Jack Rodwell.
Fresh look at the live ladder. It shows Wellington now 3 points clear if they hold this lead. Ben Old sets off. Those clever feet that have been a delight to watch all season for Wellington. Ben Old, an Auckland boy, he told me pre-game he had to ask for 30 tickets for his friends and family.
Well, this is what they've come to watch. Sutton, another Aucklander, finding the Wellingtonian Costa Barbarouses. And he knows that was a chance to put a nail in the coffin for Sydney FC this afternoon.
Here is Max Burgess, the former Wellington man. He's on for Corey Holman for the final 18 minutes plus stoppages. He played for Wellington under Mark Rudan in the 2018-2019 season, helping with Wellington's finals push that year, 23 games. Then followed Marco Rudan to Western United for a couple of seasons before rejoining Sydney FC. So Max Burgess. So Lolly, Burgess, Mack and Fabio Gomez are the attacking quartet.
Caceres with Bratton pulling the strings in there as well. Chips are being pushed into the middle of the table. Sydney want to get back into this one and to do so quickly.
Yeah, shouldn't have forgotten Caceres and all of that. He's a string puller in there as well, so Wellington will have to be aware on all fronts. First chance for Burgess to get involved. Didn't score a goal for Wellington, oddly. But does have 13 A-League men's goals. Here's Lolly. The 1-2 there from Mack, who decided against. Here comes Sydney again, and it was Lolly driving into the area and not able to get the contact he was after. Another sub has taken place actually when that first one did. Jack Rodwell is also into the game. Great to see him back for the first time in a couple of months in 6 for Sydney FC.
There's An important intervention from the former Manchester United defender up against the former Nottingham Forest attacker. The big toe of Scott Wooden, one out. Again, the ball just bouncing in and around the Wellington Phoenix 18-yard box. Sydney ever so close from pouncing on it.
Well, Elereza Fagani helps Nicholas Pennington to his feet in order to show him a yellow card, I think. So it is Pennington into the book. I think he's had an excellent game, Elereza Fagani. I think he's controlled it brilliantly.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on here in terms of the yellow card. Is it? It's Costa Barbarousse who makes the challenge. I don't think Pennington's mouthing off in the background. I think he simply sits down, Piney. Anyway, Mohamed El Tay enters the fray, and I believe this is his 50th game, Piney.
Here comes Sydney FC again. Yes, Mo, El Tay into the action for game number 50 in the A-League men's.
Well, like for like, that substitution. And so I've just heard in my ear that it might have just been to record the sub. I don't think there was a yellow card issued.
All right, so no yellow card for Nicholas Pennington. Here's Ryan Grant. He can't keep it in. Ryan Grant, he looked favourite, actually, and gives the thumbs up.
It's a beautiful pass from Luke Bratton, trying to find the usually irrepressible Ryan Grant. And you're right, Piney, just laboured right at the end there.
So just confirming El Tay on for Salas. There he is in 12, Mohamed El Tay. He's been a good acquisition for Wellington this season. Krajew's off after this one. Redmayne's out of his area and gets plenty of height on that one.
As they pursue a way to find an equaliser, Sydney are going man for man at the back. And you've got the likes of Krajev up there and Costa Barbarousse and Beno buzzing around. That's no small risk that you are taking.
So Giancarlo Italiano has used 2 of his available substitution windows. Of course, he had to replace Tim Payne with Houston Salas. He's brought on Salas for El Tay. He's only got one more opportunity to use subs in the final 15 minutes. Now, tackles are flying in here. Players are finding themselves on the deck, but players going on.
Well, Max Burge has made a lot of that and is up on his feet in the middle of your picture now. Mohamed El Tay did fly in. Interesting to see if Fagani comes back for that one.
Grant brings this one down nicely. Here is Burgess. Drifts one towards the far post. Isaac Hughes with a head on it, but it is diverted behind only for a corner. Another for Sydney, their 7th.
I do wonder if Houston Salas could have pulled Hughes off for a much better position.
Into the area it goes. And the referee has seen something he's not a fan of. So just correcting this, El Tay is on for Pennington, not for Salas, who's still out there. So we've had Payne and Pennington off, El Tay and Salas on.
Been a tidy operator when called upon by Italiano. El Tay understands the game well, good work ethic. I'm quite happy just to rely on his first touch and then bring others into the game plan. He doesn't look to do too much. Sam Sutton walking past the ball kids to retrieve that one. Wastes a few more seconds as we head towards the 80-minute mark, Piney.
It's a proud record Wellington have at Eden Park. And now Sam Sutton, I think, is going to get a booking here for time wasting at throw-in time. It'll still be his throw, but he is going to go into the referee's book. He was told, we need you to hurry up. He didn't. 4th booking of the season for Samuel Sutton. Well, as I was saying, Wellington have never lost here at Eden Park. They've never scored more than 2 goals either in a single game. I think that free kick or throw is going the way of Wellington. Just a throw.
He's kept a little bit pretty well for Ghana for most of the game, allowing play to flow without it ever boiling over. I do get the sense that because of where we are in the season, the frustration might get the better of someone in the last 10-odd minutes.
Rufa, clever, gets away from a couple of players. Lolly and Gomez thinks about a pass, doesn't, and then still retains possession. They're approaching the 80-minute mark, so an Auckland crowd is going to get another opportunity, as they have done a number of times in the past, to enjoy the warmth of March in Auckland. 80 minutes gone, and off they come all around the ground.
They're enjoying Tamaki Makaurau. And they're enjoying a 1-goal lead, which, to be honest, did not look like it would be the case in the first half. Sydney controlling matters very well, and in the second half been a very different story.
I don't think we've got eyes on Steve Corica and Terry McFlynn at the moment, but I'm told they haven't removed their shirts. The Auckland FC contingent have stayed fully clothed for the meantime.
That's a rather bold assertion from a Wellingtonian, Jason Pine.
Bojidar Kroyev wants the Auckland crowd to get involved even more. Confirmation of the non-removal of shirts from the Auckland FC contingent.
Character assassination created by the proud Wellingtonian Jason Pine there, ladies and gents.
8.5 minutes plus stoppages. This game feels like it's still on a knife edge. And what's happened here?
No. Well, they get another opportunity to stand and salute the Wellington Phoenix as we wait for play to restart.
Here's the run home for Wellington. Brisbane on Easter Sunday. They're away at the Mariners. At home to Melbourne Victory. They travel to the Jets and welcome MacArthur on the final weekend. As run-ins go, there are a few challenges ahead.
Don't mind that though, Piney. It's important to maintain a rhythm heading into the playoffs, and what Giancarlo Italiano will want to see in the playoffs is exactly play like this. Elastic, fluid, snapping forward, and then bulging the back of the net.
He's been particularly prolific with his left foot this season, Costa Barbarouses, which isn't his favoured foot. Kroyev does well. Here is Barbarouses stepping in. Pokes forward. Redmayne should be there ahead of old.
Headed away by a young man who's gone about his business quietly and confidently today. Isaac Hughes, the man entrusted to stand alongside Sermon and Wooten and repel the likes of the dangerous Mac. Although he scored today, I think Isaac Hughes has done a good job of adjusting to life under Houston Salas and then managing a dangerous Sydney front line.
Courtney Perkins can't keep it in, and he's annoyed with himself. Wellington battling in midfield, as are Sydney FC. No one getting a second to dwell on the football at the moment. Little half turn by Ben Old brings his mate Sam Sutton in, and he's taken out by Ryan Grant. just a free kick and a bit of cramp, I think, from Sam Sutton. There's our attendance, just a tick over 18,000. Excellent crowd here. It's the 5th biggest in 12 games here at Eden Park. 3 times they've ticked over 20,000. There were 18,056 here to watch the Phoenix beat Adelaide in 2013-14, but this is an excellent showing. 18,002 here at the Garden of Eden. It all goes well, augurs well rather for football in this city, A-League football in this city, which will become a reality in October of this year. Cryan.
Brooklyn has come out to salute the Wellington Phoenix.
Here's Ben Old, so dangerous with ball at feet. Can he win something over there? He's won a free kick.
Doesn't react, does he, Piney? Fagani keeps it rather cool. I do think Ryan Grant was fortunate not to go onto the book. Only moments ago for the rugby tackle on Sam Sutton, and this time gives up a dangerous free kick.
A goal now for Wellington would give them some breathing space with time running down. They haven't exactly thrown men forward. Plenty of elevation on the delivery. Back across, goal, and nobody there for Wellington. It was Wooten back across, Barbarousis not able to turn it in. Caceres breaking forward. What a run from Anthony Caceres. Couldn't free up Gomez.
Isaac Hughes, the recipient of cramp, and Caceres falling to the ground.
Tom Doyle sideline. Any sign of a 3rd or 4th sub down there, Tom, that you can see?
Yeah, look, both teams have got all the subs out. I think we may see a couple changes. I'm liking what the Phoenix are doing with this time wasting, though. It's really taking the sting out of the game, so I'm enjoying it down here. Very relaxing.
Impartial commentary there from the former Wellington Phoenix player, but this is concerning because Isaac Hughes falls very awkwardly, and it's another hamstring issue and headache for Italiano to deal with. Suspect this will mean that Lucas Kelly-Hield will make his way onto the field.
Well, as mentioned, you only get 3 opportunities to make subs. So if Giancarlo Italiano brings on just Lucas Kelly-Hield now, then that is it, as far as his opportunities are concerned.
We have heard Chiefs speak about the fact that he doesn't want to interrupt the flow of the game by making substitutions just to make them. So I suspect the fact that we've only got 3 minutes and change left will mean that he'd be happy making a single sub at this point. It might be a couple of pieces moved around the chessboard, though. You see the furious scribbling from Italiano, wanting Crave to disrupt the ball forward.
Well, that doesn't look good for Isaac Hughes either. Could that be a second hamstring problem for Wellington in the run? And Tim Payne has already departed. Isaac Hughes looks to have a similar issue. So the sub hasn't been made yet. They'll make it now. I think it's going to be David Ball who makes his way on. They want to make the sub quickly because they don't want to be outnumbered. Adam Griffiths gives his writing instructions to David Ball. All that experience. David Ball enters.
I'm not sure what Fagani's doing here. He was quite adamant that Isaac Hughes needed to go off the field. We didn't see it on camera, and then he's just given Scott Wooden a yellow card for time wasting with David Ball hardly onto the field. Can appreciate the fact that he's let a lot go today, but it's been a bit poor in terms of game management over the last couple of minutes, particularly in relation to an injured player.
So Ball is on, Hughes off, and now there'll be another sub, and this will be another one for Sydney FC. Joel King into the action, replacing Robert Mack for the final 1 minute, plus what you'd expect would be at least 5 or 6 minutes of added time.
And the Phoenix have switched to a 4-4-2. Salas and Old flanking Kraev and Rufer in the middle of the park. Apologies. It's Lte. Salas is dropping into the right back position, and then Witten and Sermon essential with Sutton out left.
And David Ball's just going to run shuttles up top. Confirmation of the yellow card for Scott Witten late in this one. We're told there's going to be a minimum of 7 extra minutes. Plenty of time for Sydney FC. Isaac Hughes, that is not a happy sight for the young defender.
The Phoenix have lost both of the players down the defensive right to hamstring injuries today, and Piney commented about the 5 games to go in the run into the playoffs. Hamstrings are notorious for taking 3 to 6 weeks to heal, and that's if you're lucky. Thankfully, the Phoenix do have the international break to kind of buffer them and provide an opportunity for a decent rehab.
As Fabio Gomez getting away from Rufer, who has to be careful. Burgess. Rufer gets back and puts in a pretty crucial tackle. Ben Old takes it away from Ryan Grant. And from Luke Bratton just about. No, Bratton gets back. Terrific defending from Luke Bratton.
He's been fast this afternoon. Luke Bratton hasn't seen movement in front of him all the time, but been disruptive. Out of possession, shielded the back line for Sydney well. And recycled, and we've seen his range of passing and his ability to dictate tempo. And Alex Rufer there, you can see the leg contorting under cramp. About the 3rd or 4th for the Wellington Phoenix. They've been labouring under the fatigue of travelling and the burden of expectation for 3 or 4 weeks. We really haven't seen them at their sharpest. Regardless, Piney, they've been effective. A resilient lot has managed to pick up points. Not necessarily stay in front of the Mariners, but at the moment going toe-to-toe with the reigning champs.
Well, this will just add extra time beyond the 7 that we've been told about. Ufuk Talay up in his technical area, urging his team on. He had great success as Wellington Phoenix coach, Ufuk Talay, guiding them to the playoffs in 3 of his 4 seasons in charge, missing by a solitary point in the other. He enjoyed coming here as a Wellington Phoenix boss. This is his last visit here to play Wellington, to end in defeat. Bratton helps it in. Pushing the back on Salas, didn't matter. Alex Paulson grabs it gratefully and sinks to the turf. The steely gaze of Ufuk Talay that has become familiar all around the A-League. David Ball with the fresh legs through towards Ben Old. Ryan Grant does very, very well there, getting his body in the way and earning his side a free kick. Wellington drop into their low block. Bratton trying to find a way to make an incision. Salas gets it half away. Burgess is there. A foot in from Mohamed Lte. Not a single one of the 18,000 have left early. Drilled into the penalty area, Alex Paulson, to the delight of the vast majority of the crowd here, is again secure. Again, Paulson falls over in the act of clearing that ball. Sermon with an unchallenged header. Ball helps it forward towards Barbarouses. Time ticking down. Ute. Rodwell and Burgess desperate to get possession back for Sydney. Wharton helps it forward, but Costa Barbarouses had retreated. Possession reverts to Sydney FC. Here is Max Burgess. Ute with a vital touch. King's over there. Joel King's attempted cross is charged down. Wellington just want to hold on to the ball, but there's no one forward. It'll come back. We've had 5 of the extra 7. Here's Lolly. Gomez. And Alex Paulson stuck out a big right paw. I think he thought that might have taken a touch off a Wellington defender. He didn't want to take any chances. Gomez, such an aerial threat. Yeah, I think that skimmed off the head of Scott Wooten, so Paulson needed to keep it in to avoid the corner. Another Phoenix player down. It's Kryev this time. Wellington have no more subs at their disposal. Sydney FC certainly aren't going to stop play for Božidar Kryev. The referee will, though. And the game is elongated even further. So Burgess and Kryev came together. It all seemed rather innocuous. Here is Sydney's run home, away to the Mariners. Rather at home to the Mariners, away to Perth Glory, away at the Jets. A Sydney derby on home soil. And MacArthur FC in Campbelltown to wrap things just about. Good to see a little knot of travelling fans. Some Sydney FC supporters have made the trip. Božidar Kryev is wandering off towards the northern touchline. Wellington will not want to be outnumbered for too long. The extra 7 minutes have elapsed. We're, I'd imagine, going to have at least another 4 or 5. Playback underway. Kryev waits for his instructions to return. He gets them now. Courtney Perkins had the ball in the net in the first half, only for it to be chalked off. Bratton helps it back in. Old's going to watch it go over his head to Lolly. Joe Lolly with that educated left foot into the area. It's there for Sydney FC. It's there for Alex Paulson. And he'll soak up a few precious seconds by taking it to the edge of his penalty area. Time ticking down for Sydney FC. Wellington with a rare period of possession since 90 minutes past. It's taken off Ute by Bratton, who's fouled. $18,000 fans baying for the final whistle, and it arrives. Wellington's unbeaten record at the Garden of Eden remains intact. 12 games here without having their colours lowered. Costa Barbarouses has dealt his former side a blow in the jockeying for top 4 positions. And Wellington Phoenix go back to the top of the A-League men's ladder. They had to do it from behind, but they got it done. Wellington Phoenix 2, Sydney FC 1. Delight among the Wellington players. A little exhalation of breath there from Giancarlo Italiano. He never gives away too much, but he will be delighted and embrace with his best footballing mate, Ufuk Talay, who congratulates the Wellington players and coaching staff as well, who know him so well. Sydney FC played their part. My goodness, did they play their part in this game. They took the lead. They thought they were 2 ahead with their second goal chalked off. But what a battle. The last time we'll see the Wellington Phoenix play a home game in Eden Park, and it has been a beauty. Let's throw you down sideline where Goran Paladin has Sydney FC captain Luke Bratton alongside.
Yeah, thanks, Piney. Luke, really the old adage of a game of 2 halves almost. What do you think changed in the second 45 for you guys?
We were poor with the ball and we were poor defensively.
Look, we've got a massive soft spot for Ufuk Talay, and this result brings to an end an 8-match unbeaten streak. Can you talk to the qualities of the old Phoenix gaffer and how he's breathed life into the Sydney FC campaign?
Yeah, he's fantastic. Obviously, his attention to detail is phenomenal. Motivational. He gets the boys up. Tactically, he's very good. Him and Driller have been fantastic. They brought in a style of player that they wanted to play, and like you said, we went 8 games unbeaten. But yeah, second half tonight we weren't good enough.
Yeah, you spoke pre-game about the fitness levels required to play that high pressing game. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the fitness levels have improved throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, we keep getting better and better. Obviously, last week we started pretty poorly, and I think tonight we started very well. The way we train, we're very fit, and obviously everyone talks about our pressing, but I think with the ball we're decent as well. But look, they're a fantastic team. They're at the top of the table for a reason. They've got some fantastic players, and it was a great atmosphere tonight for them. And I just think second half, I just don't think we're up for it.
You got 2 weeks between now and your next game because of the international window. Central Coast Mariners doesn't get a lot easier. What do you think are the key work-ons for yourself, the team, Ufuk Talay, in that 2-week period?
Look, I don't think there's an easy game in the league. Every team's got their strengths, and I think we need to concentrate more on ourselves. Obviously, like I said, first half we played well and pressed well, and I think we dominated. So I think if we concentrate on ourselves and execute the game plan that Uffy wants, I think we can beat anyone. So yeah, it's another tough one coming up, but if we want to win something, we want to beat these teams.
Well, tough luck on the result tonight, but all the best on the run into the playoffs, Luke Bratton.
Cheers.
And we'll bring in Alex Rufer, skipper of the Wellington Phoenix, an embrace for Luke as he exits. Mate, take us into the sheds at half-time. What was the discussion that you and Chiefy had with the rest of the squad to force that extreme change?
We needed to be a bit more aggressive, but we were calm. I think we were lucky to go in 1-0 down, and we knew we had some good chances in us. We just had to convert. But really, really proud of the group. We were faced with a tough team tonight, and we came back strong.
Well, how close was this to what you can expect in the playoffs? 18,000 strong at Eden Park, a quality opposition against Sydney FC, and showing those fighting qualities that we're so familiar with this season.
Yeah, look, you have to do that. We've not played the best football in the last few games, but we've managed to always stay in the game. And I think tonight showed that again. I think when we start to pick up our game with the ball, I think we'll be a much better team. But look, 3 points today, and that's the most important thing.
And Eden Park, we've been talking in the pre-game, the half-time, and we'll talk about it more in the post-match, that this is your home away from home. 12 matches on this surface, unbeaten. How much will you miss it as a home venue?
Yeah, look, we've loved playing here. It's always a blessing coming up here, great crowd, change it up a little bit. But look, now we'll have games here against another team, and that's also something to look forward to, but that's all in good fun. For us now, we just need to keep focusing on every game that comes.
Tim Payne, hamstring issue. Isaac Hughes looks to have the same issue. Can we read into the overwatering of the pitch? Is that what's happened here today?
Look, I don't know. I feel so much for both those boys. They've both been very, very good for us this year. You know, really, really gut-wrenching stuff, but I couldn't put something on it. I'm just, a bit speechless, to be honest. So, yeah, hopefully it's not too serious.
Yeah, we'll miss both of those guys in the run into the playoffs. Look, a mirthful moment, if you will, Alex Rufer. Towards the end of the game, you obviously work your socks off. You're suffering cramp in a calf muscle. The logical solution is to elevate the leg and point the toes towards the groin area or the body. Let's not be rude. What do Ben Old and Božidar Krajev need to do to work on their technique?
I don't know. I thought I was speaking English, but maybe I wasn't. They were pulling it the wrong way. But no, look, we ran our socks off tonight. It's the first time I've had cramp this year, which maybe I need to look into something. I don't know. But look, really, really proud of the group tonight, and I think we thoroughly deserve it.
There, get yourself some pickle juice and enjoy being back at the top of the table. Alex Rufer, thanks for your time, mate.
Cheers, mate. I won't be having any more pickle juice, but I might have a beer later on. So, yeah, all good. Thank you.
Alex Rufer, he is the successful captain here at Eden Park in the Wellington Phoenix last home game at Eden Park. They're unbeaten in 12. They've beaten Sydney FC 2-1. We'll wrap it all up in the post-match show after this on Sky Sport. The moment that turned the tide, the moment that secured all 3 points for the Wellington Phoenix, the home side at Eden Park against Sydney FC. the goal scorer, his 11th of the season, his 91st A-League goal overall. It's a name you're familiar with, Costa Barbarousis, and he joins us in the post-match show alongside Tom Doyle and everybody's favourite spoon in the top drawer, Jacob Spoonley. Costa, mate, first of all, before we start celebrating goals and all that sort of carry on, the first half, you were bombarded, really struggled to get out of your half. What was the message that Chiefy gave in the break that enabled you to hit Sydney FC not once but twice and take those 3 competition points?
Well, the disappointing thing about the first 5-10 minutes was we knew that was coming, and Chiefy specifically said to play the first pass forward in those first 5-10 minutes, and we didn't do that, but also we dallied on the ball a little bit too much and we got caught out. And I think even towards the end of that first half, we sort of were a bit more, positive. First pass forward, even if it's not a great pass, we can press from there. And we showed that if we put the game onto them, how dangerous we can be, and sort of showed their vulnerabilities.
Speaking of a vulnerability, Lacerda, he didn't have a fantastic second half by himself. You seemed to give him an absolute nightmare. Was that something that was talked about at half-time as well?
No, I just try to give everyone hell that I play against.
That's just your effect against everybody else.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, I don't want to give anyone a minute's rest. We're trying to do big things here, and that's what it takes. And look, everyone's got to be on their game and get the better of their opposition.
Costa, sorry, I interrupted you there. I was just going to quickly mention on the young guys in the squad coming through. There's a lot of players, and with a couple injuries now, they're probably going to be more so involved. How do you, I guess, as a leader in the team, kind of keep them grounded and keep them really focused on what's at task? Because you're back to the top of the league, and so I guess there's, a big few weeks coming up for these young guys.
Yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act, when to be not harsh on them, but to be a bit stern, and when to put an arm around their shoulder. It's a different game from when I was a young boy coming through, and I've learned along the way positivity is probably more helpful to these kids than being a bit more stern. So it's just getting around them. I think, they've been thrown in the deep end, which is a good thing this year, and it's shown them that they can do it, and they continue to be really good and really useful for us.
As we take a look at your game tonight, Costa, it was almost like you single-handedly took it upon yourself to turn the tide in the second 45, using that pace and scoring your 11th goal. I know it's a team sport, but what does it mean to you personally to have such a successful season scoring goals the way you are?
Yeah, look, I really feel good. I feel like this year the responsibility's been on me to produce on, with the goals, especially with Oscar being absent for so long. I've become a little bit more of that focal point in games, whereas when Oscar was here, I was playing a little bit deeper and the onus wasn't really on me to score the goals, but I'm happy to be producing for the team, and it makes it easier when everyone's working extremely hard behind me as well.
So let's talk about goals. 91, Archie Thompson on 90. Camera's right there, mate. You got a message for your good mate over the other side of the Tasman?
Smelty, I'm coming for you, mate.
Oh, not even a message for Archie. Oh, he's just left him in his dust. No. Look, last question from me. This atmosphere, 18,000 at Eden Park, you're home away from home, unbeaten in 12 here. How much are you going to miss it as a home base?
Yeah, look, I've only been here for a couple of the games, but the people get behind us, and obviously we've produced 2 extremely positive results here since I've been here, and the boys have made it a bit of a fortress. So, look, if it is the last one, I don't know the logistics around it, but I'm glad we came here and really put it to one of the form sides in the comp and cemented our place back on top before the international break.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to see, Costa. Thanks so much for your time. Well played today. We'll head out to Jason Pine, who's got a very, very happy Wellington Phoenix head coach, Giancarlo Italiano.
Giancarlo Italiano, the Garden of Eden remains a happy hunting ground for Wellington Phoenix. Your last visit here, what's your overall assessment of what played out across 90-plus minutes here?
I thought it was a very intense battle. I thought both teams came with the mentality to win. I don't think we're our best in the first maybe 20, 25 minutes. I thought we were actually pretty subpar, but in credit to Sydney, they came out with a game plan. It worked very well. They got rewarded for their press, and then